Welcome back. It's been around 24 hours since my last recording, and this is an update on the project. So as you can see, this is what I've been building for the past 10 hours or so. Um, and yeah, let's just run through the new features. So first of all, there's a new background. It's just like a pattern um, that kind of resembles like a poker table. And then I added some animations to this little tile going up. It's more smooth now. Before it was just, move up like 20 pixels immediately. And now it kind of like slides up. So up here, there are these boxes, and these are just boxes for me to know where cards will be placed. So in the actual game, I don't think these will be there. But for now, yeah, they will just have to be on the screen. And then on the right hand side, there's a log that helps me debug and also helps the player understand what is going on. So as you can see, um, the log is instantiated, and then players are created, uh, shuffled, dealt, and then AI3 starts the game, and then it kind of like records whose turn it is. So now I'm able to play my tiles. So if I want to play this one, which is bamboo 3, I can just click on it, and then it will just go to this row, which is where all of my cards that are played will be, or yeah, this is like the row where um, my cards are stored. So if I play this, boom, it goes down there. And as you can see, there are 3 AIs that I've built. Right now, there are just very simple AIs. I've programmed them to only always play their first card, which is not a good strategy. But for now, that's what we have. It's a placeholder. And these are the corresponding 3 AIs. So this one is AI 3, this one is 2, this one is 1. And the game rotates like this, I believe. Oh, sorry, like this. But I need to change it so that it rotates like this. Right now it's clockwise. And yeah, that's pretty much it for what I built in the past day. But there's also a lot more going on beneath the screen. I had to fix so much stuff. So yeah, let's go to the code. So as you can see on the left hand side, the menu is, or the project structure is very um I wouldn't say it's very big, but there's definitely like a lot more stuff compared to yesterday. So let's go over the organization. And um in the core package, or in the application packages where all of the game running applications are stored, and the core package, this is where all of the logic processing is. So all of the game related logic processing is stored here. Next, we have the config file. This is an improvement I've made, um, where instead of having all of the variables stored in this game panel class, remember like yesterday, it was all of them are like up here. I move all of them to config. And as you can see, there are just too many variables to keep track of. And this is just a great place to put all of them and adjust them in the future. So if I want to change the FPS to like 1 FPS, then I can just change it here. Um, the reason why I have so many variables is because I wanted to draw the boxes, and I wanted to make sure that I have control over where the boxes are. So yeah. Next, we have the log class. This is not very difficult to understand. It's just a log class. You can add a message, and then you can where is it? You can get all the messages. So get last X messages. It's going to just take the last X messages out and put it in the list. Next, we have the players. And this is this is where the AIs are stored, right? So before we only had this one, which is just a player. Um, and there are all the functions that a player can do, right? Such as play. This is like the most important function where the player plays a tile and then the game removes the tile from the player's hand and put it to table, which is um, now in under the player class. So yesterday it was in the game class and I moved it to player because I realized that for each of the player, they have their own table. So I can't just put all of the tiles that are discarded onto one table, right? So if I launch the game, you can see that each of these boxes represent a table. So this one is AI1 stable, this one is AI2 stable, and this one is AI3 stable. So when I play a card, they each put one more tile on their table because we went through an entire cycle just like that. Yeah, it's very quick. So yeah. Oh, and some of you guys might be wondering why this 14 is all the way out here. Um, this is because when you draw a new card, I wanted to, oh yeah, when you draw a new card, you want to see what that new card is. So I kind of separated the 14th card from the rest so that the player can see what the new one is. But this is not currently implemented. It's just like this. And yeah, I will have to work on this sometime in the future. Well, oh, we were talking about AIs. Yeah. So now we have three AIs. Oops. We have three AIs, and each of these AIs are basically just a placeholder for another player. And what these classes do is they basically said where the table locations are. So remember how each AI has um their own table? This is basically what each of these class does. Other than that, they're identical to the player. So you can call AI.play and they will do the exact same function. Except it does not because I override. But it's basically a player that has a different table and a different um way to play and a different way to act. This action is where I will implement the strategy. So as you can see here, I try to implement some strategies. I already have this set up. Right now, it's just taking the first one, the first tile, and then playing it. But in the future, you can add much, much more complex logic here to make the AI stronger. Let me just get rid of this unused code. All right. Next, let's talk about tiles. So before, we have this notion of a tile, right? Each player has a hand of tiles. And each of the tile is an entity, right? I have this object set up that has index, category, number, and image. Now we have this idea of tiles, which only does one thing, which is store a list of tiles. And the reason why you do this is because you want to make sure that your code is clean, right? Whenever I have a list of tiles and I want to perform some sort of operation, like a customized operation on this list, such as, let's see, sort, right? I want to sort the way I wanted to. And like up the index, right? This is not something Java wrote. This is something I have to wrote up to position, right? So I can just create this class and put all of the necessary functions I need in this class. This way, I don't have to go to, I don't have to create like random functions everywhere. And that will just make my flow code clean. This also has a lot of uses because I can create customized tiles class that does like a slightly different role, and then I can just inherit this one. So as you can see, this one is the basic tiles class, and it has 5 inheritors. Right here is hand tiles, which is basically the player's hand. And then we have the table tiles, which is the table tiles, right? Like the tiles on the table. So let me just launch the game again. This one down here, this is your hand tile, right? It's a list of tiles. This one up here, this one. This one is the table tile. And as you can see, I have AI1 table tile, which is this one, AI2 table tiles, AI3 table tiles, and so on. Right. So this little class here is actually very important for organization. And then let's talk about output data. Yes. So how is the game panel supposed to know what is going on? It's basically through this output data object. So in the game class, we have this function called next. All this function does is basically advance the game to the next player, right? So if it is my turn and I call game.next, then it will go to the next person down the line and then execute their action or whatever. And you might be wondering, how did I get the player turn, right? And it's here. I created this class called game turn, which just keeps track of whose turn is next. And this class is going to get more complicated in the future because Mahjong has this very fun, but also not fun to implement feature called pawn, where you can take the card or a tile someone else plays and is immediately your turn. So that will mess up the turn cycle, and we'll have to see what we can do. So if I call game turn dot next, it will just tell me what the next player is, like who's the next player. And I can also peek, which is to look at who the next player is without advancing the cycle. Yeah, so that's basically what this next function does. And as you can see, it returns output data, which is this class. And it's just a class for data transfer, right? These are the table tiles, player hand, player table, AI table, and then tiles to draw, which are tiles that I want to draw on the map. So then I send this information to game panel, where it processes output data, and then it sends the data to the drawers, right? So down here, we have drawer. And then you can tell the drawer to draw background, draw box, draw rectangle, player hand, and this player hand is from player output data. I also, if you looked at the code from yesterday, this part is now more simple. I can just call drawer.draw background, and then the drawer class will just take care of all the drawing. I just have to provide it with a G2, and then the canvas side, and then I can just add more functions down here, right? Yeah, pretty straightforward. Um, these are just drawing the boxes, so I'm just initializing. the boxes. And then the mouse listeners, I might move them to a different class in the future if there are more operations. But for now, I'll just put them here. And I think that's pretty much it for today. Um, that's pretty much all the changes. Right now, I'm working on trying to implement the rules of the game. So in the next episode or blog or whatever, you will likely hear about all of the different game rules. Um, yeah, I can actually show you guys. Hold on, where is it? Um, all right, forget about it. Yep. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next.